all of our market prophecies. We do not trade without the magic 8 ball showing us the way.
So you have abandoned your entire process and have gone strictly with that as your new plan and strategy, eh?
Absolutely not. It is an integral part of my entire strategy.
Oh,
so
got it. I have some land for sale in the swamps of New Jersey if you're interested as well.
I hear they're knocking down one of those bridges too out of New York and selling it for scrap. Can I buy that metal? Yeah, it's a good it's a running thing we got, because I said I wanted one, and then so on air I bought one on Amazon while we were talking, and I was so happy it got delivered a few days later, and we've been using it for market-based prophecy ever since. So
okay.
So it's got a call in now that we'll have to see what happens here. It said that that the stock WKHS was absolutely going to be going above $28.20 before the market closed. It's got half an hour to make good on that, and I have to admit it's looking a little sketchy. So we'll see. How big is the swamp? Chris wants a piece of that action. Dr. Katz, he wants to know. I mean, you know, for the right buyer, swampland can be perfect, because if you put a house on stilts right in the middle of it, you won't get, you know, you won't be annoyed by other humans anyways.
And probably if you use a series of 4 8-balls as your foundation, you will have good luck as well.
Yeah. What could possibly go wrong with that approach? Who's in the tropical locale? There's some birds going on.
That's probably me.
Okay, excellent. I like it. So, guys, as we remind you every Thoughtful Thursday, and it is a wonderful Thoughtful Thursday. In fact, it's not only a Thoughtful Thursday, but you missed it when I came on the show earlier. I had a special introduction by good old Johnny Mathis. He's saying "Sweet Thursday" for me today, so it's a sweet, thoughtful Thursday.
Okay.
But anyways, as we say every Thursday, guys, if you've got questions, psychology-related questions, ideally for Dr. Katz, put them in, type them into the chat room, and we will do our best to make sure that we have the opportunity to answer them. So
I think we've created a monster with a swampland reference there.
I know. I'm just reading comments here. People providing construction technique hints on how to build into a swamp. You never know where the conversation will take you here. And
so starts the real estate section of today's episode.
Yeah, exactly. I got stopped out, by the way, of AMD. A little disappointing there. I was hoping for a better continuation move, but it's stopped me out. The market is charging higher. So, anyways, let's get to some questions, maybe stock related. And thank you, Nagraj, for leading us off, as opposed to worrying about how Venice was built. All right. Question: he has problem holding stocks for longer periods. How can he change that?
Well, I think one of the things that could be helpful is I'm assuming that what's happening is that you set a target and then you take some of the profits before the stock reaches your expected target, then feeling like you've only made a profit of X as opposed to maybe 2X. So one of the things we've talked before that can be helpful in this is kind of reducing some of the anxiety and losing out on all of your profits, which is sometimes why people get out of their winners early. And if you start with a plan with a set aspect of maybe taking, let's just say, again, we've talked before, you get into a stock at 10 and your target is 14, maybe the initial thing is if it hits 12, I'll take 50% out and let the rest kind of run. So if you have a predetermined plan, you're kind of minimizing some of the overall binary anxiety associated with either kind of letting it run to your target or losing out. And you take some of the profits, and then it may make it a little more tolerable to see about the rest of it playing out. So that would be a start of what I would do. But I think you need to plan for this during non-trading hours and kind of mentally rehearse it and kind of visualize that process taking place, so that when you're in the moment, the anxiety and the emotion doesn't take hold of you, and you immediately take out the profits before they've fulfilled what you think they will be. So that would be a starting place to go there.
Dr. Katz, I've always thought this has got to be a difficult process for you, because we're giving you a snippet of information and asking you to provide advice, which is tough.
Right? It's got to be extremely tough.
Well, let me just actually, that's, yes, but this is why I just want people to know out there, and I think this is an important point. This is exactly right. When I work with traders individually, one of the things that I do is do a very thorough evaluation when I first meet with traders, because two people's performance issues could look very much the same, but if the how people are wired, what is difficult for one person getting from point A to point B, really depends on personality, style, experience, a lot of emotional, psychological variables. So when I'm giving recommendations here, I'm trying to do it in a general way, which may not apply to all people. And granted, what Peter and Mike said is I'm going on limited personal data, which is why I try to leave these answers on the more general sense, as opposed to being more specific, which I would do the more I knew about an individual trader.
That's very fair. I wasn't meaning to put you on the spot with that.
It's a good point, because this is a different format than when I'm kind of working in small groups or one-on-one with a trader who I know that kind of their kind of more interpersonal workings better.
Which, by the way, the conversation you had with some of our traders in the webinar on Tuesday was absolutely fantastic. I just wanted to say it was a great conversation, great interplay, great advice. So I thought that was a fantastic session. So thank you for that.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the feedback, and I'll give you the change of the 50 that I'll now owe you for that compliment. There, nicely done, Peter. You're a man of good word. Money will buy compliments all the time.
There you go.
With that said, we do have another one coming up the first week of October. So I am looking for a couple traders who want to join us on that, who wouldn't mind sharing their experiences and getting some advice from Dr. Katz in that same type of format. So if you're interested, please email me at mike@bearbulltraders.com.
Great.
And then we got a question here from Jimmy L. He's talking about when do you confuse tenacity with overtrading?
I like this question.
Very good question, Jimmy. Because these are things sometimes that actually people fuse. And people often think that if they're working hard and they have a lot of grit and determination, that they should expect a certain outcome. Basically, what you can determine is if you're following your plan and your process, that will mean that you are probably not over trading. A lot of times people kind of rationalize for themselves that they're trading more and more positions as a result of kind of more intensity and focus on their trading. One of the things that you could easily look at is what are the patterns of going on? I mean, I think usually the patterns of over trading are often pretty evident when people journal and look at what they're doing, because over trading is usually triggered and fostered and, more importantly, fueled by kind of emotional reaction. Sometimes it's anger, sometimes it's frustration, sometimes it could be impatience. So tenacity and resilience, they should be there all the time. Those are things that you determine. So I think you need to kind of separate out whether you're following your process and your plan and your strategy, and separate that out from the intensity and tenacity of what of how you're trading.
I like the answer. So your tenacity should be applied to following your plan, not to the frequency of the trade.
Yeah, and sometimes tenacity can be, can be a little misleading. I mean, I've worked with golfers, but Peter, I think you're a golfer, and so I always think of the example of the golfer who says, he's going out once a week to hit 250 balls at the driving range, and says, like, I'm going to increase my commitment and tenacity and commitment to playing, so I'm going to go out 3 times a week and hit 250 balls each time. And so that person is well intended in putting more work and energy and focus on their game. But then the pro comes over and goes, listen, I know you're putting in now 3x the amount of time as before, but really what you need is a new swing. So like you're focusing on the wrong thing. It's not taking more times it's not spending more time at the driving range and hitting more balls. You really need to kind of spend more time on the quality of your stroke and your swing. So sometimes people's energies are misguided, not intentionally, but that's really important to determine where do you need the work. And so sometimes tenacity, one could be like pretty tenacious, but we've talked in here about the importance of something like patient aggressiveness. Sometimes the greatest in tenacity is the willingness to sit and sit and sit and sit and then wait for your opportunity and then follow through. So some people always like to be highly motivated and always trading because it makes them feel more alive. But sometimes that's kind of counterproductive, especially when the markets aren't offering many opportunities.
Right. Well said. Maybe I'll get to the next question from Homza, which is a good one. How do I break out of a habitual bad habit? And maybe it relates to what we were just talking about. I know I shouldn't do it. I don't want to do it, but I repeatedly do it.
Okay, so what I would say about this is common, and I know it sounds simple, but usually people have not really made it a commitment to change. When people continue to follow bad habits, 2 things are usually present. One is really a lack of commitment. You would like to, it's like people who smoke cigarettes who say they want to stop. It's hard enough even when people make a commitment to stop, but it's going to be too hard just to say you want to stop. So I think the first step is a commitment, a true commitment, which is something you really need to think through in your quiet moments not during trading hours. And then what you need is a plan with gradual incremental steps and goals to kind of change what you're doing. A commitment by itself without a plan is going to be very hard to make the changes. And a plan without commitment will not be helpful either, because you could have this beautiful wonder plan to do A, B, and C to help yourself out, but you really haven't committed to change yourself. We generally are creatures of the path of least resistance. So we generally like to do things the way we've liked to do them. Because in the moment, it feels more comfortable. And when we try to change something, it creates a level of discomfort that even though we may want the goal to be different, this is why we need a plan, a commitment, and some specific steps to follow in order to have a chance of changing behavior patterns.
Actually, I should heed that because I've got some things I need to work on. Mike, would you be able to take the next
Yep,
question?
I got it.
I'm short on a trade here. And
You're going short, aren't you? So it's a follow-up question. So the question that we had before about anxiety, they've tried that technique you mentioned, but the anxiety quickens after a short period of time quietens. I'm not quite sure, for a short period of time after taking a partial, and then anxiety kicks in again. Should I change my trading technique where I increase my size and take profit, or mend my mindset to hold longer?
Okay, the interesting thing about anxiety is just sometimes your body and mind's way of telling you that you're kind of trying something that's a little new and different. So being anxious in a reasonable fashion is not really problematic. And a lot of people kind of want to not feel the anxiety and then act. Both things can be true. People can be anxious. Like I'll talk to athletes like before big games, and they're anxious, but it doesn't mean that their performance has to be reduced. The anxiety has to be at a level that is manageable. because no anxiety means there's not a readiness. Too much anxiety, often it's an inverted U with anxiety. If you have very little anxiety in a high performance endeavor, you're not going to perform very well. And if you have too much anxiety, it really inhibits your ability to think and function effectively, whether it's a physical activity or even in trading. But a moderate amount of anxiety just helps with sometimes focus and energy. So I would not be dissuaded by experiencing some anxiety. Have a plan, and the more set plan you have, and the more specific it is, and the more you think about it during non-trading hours and mentally rehearse it, and you're in a good mind frame, then you could be anxious and still follow through on that plan. So don't try to remove the anxiety or somehow make the anxiety a necessary first step to remove prior to be able to act in the way you'd like.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Ooh, is that Brian that I heard? That's Brian.
Hey,
that's there. Came out of
and
nowhere.
I want to go back up. I want to back up to what Dr. Katz was saying about trying to break bad habits, and I know I think a lot of us are guilty of that. And so one of the ways I tried to do that is I try to meditate a little bit before the open, before getting on, and really just meditate, focus on if there's one particular bad habit, try to meditate on that, and also a visual cue, like put a post-it note in a very obvious place on your screen or whatever, just to remind you what you're trying not to do.
Yeah, those are two good points, Brian. I think the visual reminders are very good. Sometimes the cue words. Again, I think this is something, if you're experiencing something like this, your pre-trading day mental reminders and review. Again, I've always encouraged people to incorporate part of their pre-trading day preparation, not to just be research, news, charts, all that kind of more technical stuff, but to have a psychological, emotional component as well. It could be a kind of a brief meditation. It could be just getting yourself in a relaxed, deep breathing mode. There are many ways of doing that, but I think people need to spend a little time on their emotional state prior to the trading day starting as well.
So Willie has a good question about chasing the trades. He often knows when to buy long and when not to buy at a resistance level, but he has a problem when that stock, as it's approaching his entry point, all of a sudden starts moving extremely quick, passes his entry point, and then he feels like he's going chasing it. Anything to help him lessen that, as that seems to be his worst trading problem?
The chasing trades is often because you had an instinct of being right and it got away from you. And so sometimes it's like you don't want to let a good opportunity pass you, but then you get in too late and the risk reward is no longer there. What you have to do is you have to get comfortable with the fact that you're going to miss some trades. You may be ready and things may just kind of shoot past your entry point, and you just have to kind of shake your head and move on to the next one. Or maybe the stock will kind of get back to your original entry point. Don't get too caught up in the trades that you think you had that got by you, because that takes up time and energy, and then actually creates less focus and concentration on other opportunities that are out there. With trading, you've got to become more comfortable over time with losses and with trades that you either didn't see or you didn't enter for sometimes just very reasonable situations like the one you just presented. So don't start fighting that, and don't try to make up for it, because that's how you add insult to injury when you start chasing, because usually the end result of that is pretty poor.
Yeah, I found that for new traders too that are just trading live for the first time, that can also be a problem, because you want to double up your confirmations. You just want to be extra sure that you're in the right trade as you're taking a position, and oftentimes you get in later than you wanted, which ends up throwing you off. So that you're absolutely right. You really have to get comfortable with, I missed my entry, I gotta wait for it to come back, or I move on to another trade. I keep getting a muted mic for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh, we can hear you.
All right, good. There we go. What's the single most important psychological skill you have observed on the top most traders that you have come across? The top traders you've come across.
Stop that.
The skill that I would say would be classified under the term resilience, but really more the ability for traders to acknowledge that they were wrong and recognize that that's a natural part of the trading process. Do not personalize it. And then being able to let go of the trade they may have been wrong on, take the loss, and move on. This easier said than done, of course, but that is the best skill. The best traders are not kind of fusing losing trades with somehow a sense of personal failure. And the reason I say this is that often traders, especially early on, when they have a losing trade, it kind of is part of their own identification as a trader, and it often gets fused with their sense of self, and it really erodes self-confidence and self-worth, which then actually makes it harder to kind of get back and trade effectively. So the number one characteristics I've seen with people is the ability to kind of be wrong, to acknowledge it, to accept it, to not personalize it, to learn from it. That's the key thing. And then let go of it and move on. And this is very true of athletes too. The best athletes are the ones who, when they screw up or make an error, identify what went wrong and let go of it, and doesn't impact their play from there on in. And that is, to me, one of the most important characteristics of people in high performance businesses.
So, got a question here from AK. I believe that is the same person. We weren't able to get to his question during the psychology webinar as we ran out of time. So I wanted to make sure that we got it in before we move on to the trade of the day. And he's asking that he's not able to scale out of a trade, which results in him having revenge or over trading tendencies because he takes an initial loss as he doesn't move his stop to break even.
So the interesting statement there is when somebody says, I am not able to scale out of my trade, as if that is kind of something that's etched in stone. I think the key there is to think, Ankur, about ways that you can start learning to scale out of your trade. Because if you spend your energy on that, it sounds like you're feeling like you're not able to do something, and then the consequence of that becomes the emotional response, which is the revenge trading or the over trading tendency. So I think part of this is a willingness to set out a plan for yourself to scale out of those trades, and then a willingness to kind of live with the initial loss. That is built into this. If you can't tolerate losses in trading, you're definitely going to have an emotional response, which is then going to lead to kind of further destructive behavior. So try to develop a plan for yourself to incrementally scale out of trades. And then if you feel a very strong emotional response after that, step away from the screen so you don't act out on the emotion by over trading or revenge trading.
Excellent. And so thank you for joining us, Dr. Katz. I do believe that you're not going to be here next week, but you'll be here October 1st, correctly? Because you'll be traveling.
That is correct. I will be traveling next week. So I will miss you guys, and I will speak to everybody in 2 weeks.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us, and I'm looking forward to our next town hall. I know that it's going to be
absolutely fun. Yeah, great.
Try safe.
Okay.
Safe travels.
Bye-bye.
So with that, we'll get into the member trade of the day.
What happened to Froggy Doggy there? Come on.
Which goes to Lindsay F. for a trade on Roku today. So it's a reversal pattern that she took after it broke out of a consolidation. It was holding around 164. The SPY was started moving up. The 5-minute candle had much higher on the open volume, higher than the open volume, even though you can't see it here because of the screenshot. And then while it was holding above the 9 EMA, set a stop loss there at 164.30, as it looks like. And partial around good old TFL. If you don't know what the TFL is, that's Thor's tinfoil line theory on the 8 o'clock moving candle, held because the SPY was moving up and got out at all at 167. So a very good trade right there. I like how you're able to get it above that 200 moving average coming down on the 5-minute chart as well. Or that might have been the 50. Yeah, that looks more like the 50 there for me. So, awesome trade, Lindsay. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So we do have one more day of those trades.
Oh, there we go.
Of two of our traders, David and Megan. You can view that in the Psychology Center if you'd like to. Next week, we'll talk about the importance of discipline, which comes into not chasing your trades and making sure that you partial before you at designated places that you have determined that your strategy works out. Yesterday, yes. Peter, yes. Are you in a trade? If you're in a trade, I got it.
I've done it again. Yes,
all right, I got it. Yesterday, Peter gave us the lightning bolt pattern, and it was an excellent class. You can check out that inside the psychology, or not the psychology, sorry, in the success webinar section. And next week, we will be having Andrew, who will be giving a success webinar, and this one for everybody out on YouTube will be streamed on YouTube to his trading momentum at the open, so his 1-minute opening range breakout. So please enjoy that if you would like.
We just got to get him to stop. Talk about trying to break habits. We need to break that habit of trading Apple at the open.
Yes. I got to break that. And if you'd like to join us in the chat room, pre-market code 24 is your key to getting a discount, and it gives access to the chat room as well as onboarding. So thank you, everybody.
It's funny because he said this morning how he wants to learn it, right? He's like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm not sure there's anything to figure out, to be honest, but he's convinced that he'll be able to figure it out. And I mean, hey, maybe he will. I don't know. But...
To me, is Apple is that it epitomizes the cult stock. You know, the cult stock. With that and Tesla and when you get to the open, it's just it's a fight with buyers and sellers, and that's why you get that choppy price action. A lot of people got into that for that rise to the split, and now it's pulling back, and there's just a lot of jostling between buyers and sellers.
Yeah.
Facebook's coming back up here to close strong on the day. Oh, geez, Froggy Doggy's all over the place here.
Froggy Doggy. Wow, that's a big drop there, actually.
Yeah, that was a huge drop. But it's not very liquid. There isn't a lot of trading going on here.
Sumo. Yeah, the volume is really low on
it. MU has been nice today. It's in the green. I don't know. Must have been some news on Lyft because it's in the green.
Yeah. Keeping an
Yeah,
eye
he
on
came
two
back.
things. Oh, wait a second. Oh, no. Keeping an eye on Workhorse here and also on AMD.
Yeah, I think it is.
AMD. Oh, whoops. Out, 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 out. Duh, how did that sneak up on me? All right. Whoa. Ah! What the hell? Daz just crashed. That doesn't happen very often.
Neo just climbed into the close. What else did we have? Some price action into the close here. Certainly Neo was good. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. XLE
Okay.
closed green on the day. I like that.
Looks like I'm out.
XLE, liking that. I've got back into HGU, which is long the gold miners
Better check.
for a swing.
Better check IB.
First, my target for frog. I just took a very small position, only a couple hundred shares, but I was doing a little bit of research on frog, and I really like the space they're in. I think there's a lot of growth potential in their business.
Okay. Okay.
So I
Looks like I'm good.
might end up just. I'll stop out if it drops below where we bottom today, sort of the 60 area, which would be a more of a loss than I really like to take. But
That was scary. What's up with that?
okay, well, we'll see what happens. But I'm looking at this as more of a longer term. But again, if it drops, starts to lose a 60 level, 60s, I'll to bail on it. Silver ended up green on the day. That's interesting. To just go over the day and see what looks good. I guess Play is maybe going to go bankrupt unless they can get a deal with their lenders.
Wow, right at the close, right after the close, I had Daz crash on me. That was quite odd because I was trying to exit my AMD position. I'm not sure what I did.
Weird, eh?
But
Were you able to get out of all your trades?
Yeah, it looks like I got out before because I'd exited. I was just waiting to see the confirmation, and then suddenly it disappeared. I'm like, what happened? Anyways, but it looks good. I checked the IB account. It looks like it's all cleared. So it took me 3 tries at AMD, but it worked out. So that's all good.
Because you don't want to be swinging that overnight.
Well, I don't want to be swinging.
Although
anything.
it actually. Let me just take a boo here at how we went out with the. How did we go out with the semis here? 30-minute chart. Yeah, actually, a bit of a constructive day. Well off the lows of the day. That's about the most you can say about this day.
I will say for the record.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I was just wrapping. I'm just putting a bow on this in terms of the sectors. But did you want to say something else? Go ahead.
No, it's not important.
Okay, I'm just a quick. We'll just do a quick market wrap here. Just looking at how the sectors did today. Materials again strong today. Industrials strong. Started out down quite a bit, both of those, and came back up strong. What else actually was interesting today was technology. XLK actually came back up. Started on the lows of the day, and we made up quite a bit of ground after being sold off. XLE made a nice recovery, the energy sector, and real estate took a dive. So financials, again, not much to say about that. Utilities, nothing to say there, nothing to see. And communication was down quite a bit. All right, that's kind of the way things looked. I think technology may bounce here. That's my take on that. Go ahead, Peter.
Well, said my news is hardly as important. I was just going to say, you guys, everybody in the room who's here will bear witness that it looks like the Magic 8 Ball was wrong. Magic 8 Ball called a definitive high above 2820 on workhorse WKHS, and it did not occur. So, it doesn't happen often. However, the Magic 8 Ball failed. It was fallible today, but that happens. Maybe it's trying to demonstrate, like Dr. Cat says, we can't personalize these things. It happens, even to the Oracle. So it's there you go. So I had 3 AMD trades into the close, as I said. That I basically I was convinced the thing was going to get a drop, and I had 1 break-even trade and 2 green trades, so that's good. It worked out for me. Not bad again. Not my best trade of the day. Oddly, my best trade of the day today looks like it was on CCL. That's very unexpected for me, but that's the way it goes sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So just to answer a question, where do I look at the sector trades? I like to use stock charts. Again, I've got a $25 a month membership. It's pretty cheap. But you can also look on FinViz. Andrew was talking about that today as well. If you go to the FinViz site, you can click on at the top. You can click on groups, and a bunch of tables will pop up. And they'll give you performance of the various sectors over 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 3 months, and 6 months. So you can kind of see where money's rotating in and out of if you want a nice view of that. So I did like the way energy came back up at the end of the day there, and yeah, see what happens with technology. We popped back up. Still down on the day though, but well off the lows of the day. So what do we got? Anything for? Yeah, that's stock charts right there, I believe, isn't it?
Yes.
Ever got that up?
That's stock charts. I got that up for you.
Yeah. So you can. I don't know. Did you? Can you do the candles at a glance? There's a section there.
Is there where? Sectors.
No, not there. I'm just wondering.
Maybe if I go back a page. If I go back a page.
Go back a page. Yeah, go back. Go back to the where it says your dashboard. We go down. Okay, go to your dashboard.
I don't have it.
Right. It's right at the. Oh, okay. We'll try it. We'll see. Summary pages. There may be. Wait a sec. Sector summary. Oh, okay. Yeah, sector summary. I have a dashboard, and then in the sector summary, it says candles at a glance, so I can pull up those all those charts. They all come up on one page. Anyway, that gives
sector candle glance. There it is, right there.
Okay, let's take a boost.
I think maybe. Right, sector candle.
Yeah, that's it. Should be it. Yeah.
There we go.
See.
Boom.
Yeah,
now I got it. Now I know where it is,
so
Brian. I'm going to start pulling this up for you.
Yeah, it gives you a really quick overview of what the different sectors did, because I always like to see where money's rotating in and out of. Clearly, we had a big run on XLK. As you can see, that's the technology sector, and then we had a big drop on XLE. I was short that for quite a while. Got a decent week or two out of that trade, and then now I've gone long on it for this bounce here. Yeah,
there we go. But earnings, ISR, ooh, big one. $2.7 million revenue.
$2 million in revenue.
Wow. Is there anything?
And let's see. Tomorrow at the open, nothing.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty lean. Pretty lean on
We are done.
I did pick up one. I did pick up one pretty good trade this week, but thanks to Benzinga. We were doing the close, and I heard him mention something about this MYO stock that they had just gotten some kind of an approval and started popping the aftermarket. So I jumped in there and actually got about $1 out of it. By the time it finished running up, but I don't hear anything. So apparently there's no news float. All right. Well, that was quite the day for Donkey Kong. Big outside day. Engulfing candle. Just yeah. Well, gentlemen.
Yes, I've got to go get some stuff ready. So I think it's time to call it a day, everybody, at least for me. So thank you so much for being here. We'll see you back in the room tomorrow morning. It's a Friday. It's a Friday already.
It's a Friday.
Wow, this week has just flown by, but
it's a Friday.
You can't wait. I regret it.
Can't you wait?
No more trading.
Yeah. So MGM's popping up a little bit here on some news. Doesn't look too exciting though. Yeah, well, the SPY continues to creep higher here after market. So I think, I actually think we'll get a bit of a bounce here in the morning, unless there's some news that comes out. So, Peter, you're on later, is it? You're on later this afternoon, this evening?
Not I. No, Thor's going to have a session tonight at 8, so that'll be good.
Okay.
He'll have that sort of group mentorship. That should be an excellent session. He's trying a new concept, so join him there at 8 o'clock. But I'll be on tomorrow morning, guys. Actually, we'll be doing the pre-market. Jared and I are going to take over the controls, so we'll be at the con and deliver the pre-market show for you. So that's what I actually have to get ready for, and we will. We'll see you in the morning. Yeah.
Great. We look forward to it. Yeah. Thanks all. Have a great afternoon, evening, wherever you are. And guys, Mike and Peter, see you guys. Bye for now.